Hello and welcome to Artist Express. Today we have as our guest Chris Riley. Billed today mostly as an electronic musician, but as we will talk about later, a man of other talents as well. And so we'll have the opportunity to talk about how many different ways his creativity comes to play. Chris, to get us started, what all does electronic music encompass?
It's arranged, they call it obviously electronic dance music or EDM, and it just depends. It encompasses a lot of different sounds now and a lot of different speeds as far as the tempo to a song. You can have songs anywhere from probably 60 beats per minute on up to almost 200.
Wow.
In some different varieties.
And then, so you are the person as the musician who controls those aspects,
correct?
Correct? Okay. And now, where do vocals come into play on this?
It just depends, you know, you start finding, just like in regular music, artists you like, producers or DJs that are putting out music. And then a lot of times I see, for instance, an artist in pop music and I think, oh, that'd be great if they collabed with so-and-so in pop music, but you just don't see it as much. And in the electronic scene, there's a lot more openness of, yeah, let's make a track together, especially with the internet now. You don't have to be around. It's all, you know, made on the computer mostly.
So have you collaborated with people in other locations then to put together some of your work?
Not currently.
Okay.
I've been sort of searching out a few people online and for some of my own productions.
Right. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been making music since about 2005.
Okay, so 13 years, a good long while. So did you study music as a child?
Piano. I took piano lessons till sophomore year in high school.
Good. So how do you feel in terms of that as a foundation for what you're doing now?
It gives you definitely a better ear for hearing things, and especially in production, you're able to just, everything just makes sense when you're making a line come out for the, you know, the keyboard or punching in something for a sound, and it's makes a lot more sense.
And now, can you, if you did a performance tonight and were manipulating all those different sounds, could you do the exact same performance tomorrow night, or would it be different?
Definitely be a little different. A lot of times what you do is you spend a lot of time, so many, for me, hours on end just listening to music.
Right.
And then from there you've compiled a list of what you might want to purchase. And then from there you can narrow down your purchase list to the ones, all right, I got this much money this month for music. So here's the ones that really caught out to me the most. And then from there, normally figure out some sort of order. I can add in on my program different points of where to start or stop, so I can see when it starts coming up, all right, here's my point, cue in the next song, bring it up, and mix them together.
Okay. Have you ever surprised yourself with what you came up with?
Yeah, quite a few times. It's always, you know, sometimes the least suspected, like, oh, well, they match, they've got a similar tempo, and they're both in the same key, but one might have a little bit of a 4/4 bass line, 1, 2, 3, 4, is to where the other song might just have one that's a little more sporadic, say like a reggaeton or a mambaton type beat, which is a little, not 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bass, and you know, sometimes finding that right play in between sounds is just
interesting. Have you ever made a goof up that taught you something?
Yeah, plenty of times. If I was to record the time it takes me to make one mix, normally the first, you know, 3 times I say, all right, I'm starting, here's the start track, here's the next track. About third track in, I haven't done something I liked, or maybe I just had an effect playing too long over the track, and I just, you know, after maybe the third or fourth time and you're frustrated enough, then you've got it all out of your system, you're able to just go ahead and get it done.
So then you can work, yeah. Well, talk a little bit about the equipment required to do this kind of work.
Well, it would just depend. When I was first starting out, I was just using a laptop and YouTube. And that was just pretty basic. You open up 2 YouTube pages, you play one song, and then you find another song you like, and then you have the volume off. You just bring the volume on that other YouTube list on up, and then bring the other one down.
So you have to have some special kind of software?
Not for YouTube like that. That's just having 2 separate browser windows open.
I see.
And that was just, basic to see if I even would enjoy something like this. And then, there's so many different types of equipment. They've got stuff for vinyl still for DJs. They've got 45s are coming back for DJs and scratching.
And here I used all mine as centerpieces.
And I've got a lot of records, but, I go digitally mainly.
Right.
And so it's all digital. I've got a little mixer. I use a program called Traktor. And so that's like the 2 main programs for DJs I see normally are like Traktor, or the other one's called Serato. And those are just powerful programs that have effects and syncing options. Because sometimes one track might be at 130, and then you've got another track, say 112, on your beats per minute, and just being able to have a button that helps you sync it right there.
Put it right in.
Get them at the same tempo, because on vinyl, I've messed around with it a bit, and it's just a little more tricky. There's a lot more involved to get songs synced up together.
Yeah. Well, now, when you perform, where would people in the area go to see you perform?
Well, so far, anytime I've seen an opportunity, it's been in Wichita.
Oh, I see.
And that's sort of, there's another buddy of mine who calls himself Homer Spinsum, and says, as far as he's concerned, I'm one of the only other sort of underground DJs he knows about in town, and so he was going down to Wichita a lot. So shout him out, and he said, I'm doing an event, come down, you get to connect, meet some promoters. And so then that got me into an event at a nightclub down in Wichita on a Monday night. The guys said, yeah, this would be great, we'd like you, come on down. And then from there, the promoter was one of the DJs that I'd met previously, and he said, well, I don't, normally tell people this, but you had a pretty great set, and we're definitely going to need to get you down for some paid gigs.
Great, good.
So
you're feeling that you're kind of just at the beginning of a leap forward, perhaps,
Correct.
into professionalism. That's great. Well, what would you say has been the greatest deterrent to your accomplishing what you would like to?
Well, I love Salina, and there's nothing wrong with it at all, and they're doing a lot now with the arts through various programs, Spark program, and now we've got this Innovation Foundation, and it seems like Arts and Humanities keeps getting involved in things slightly more and more out in the community. And with the Art Walk, a lot of the business members now are getting louder and louder about we need more art, we need more ways to get people down here. And I just see that, I guess, the minds of a lot of people, if you haven't ever listened to EDM
Tell us what EDM is.
Electronic dance music.
Okay.
So it's just a wide range. I mean, there's so many different styles of it that if you couldn't find one certain style that, I don't know, caught your ear and you said, yeah, I could listen to some more of house music or some more of techno or whatever it might be.
And so generally, I'm guessing, now tell me if I'm right or wrong, people my age might not be in your audience as a general rule. It's okay, it won't hurt my feelings.
Well, I'm not certain because there have been at a few of these events I've been to in Wichita, a few
some older people.
Once in a while.
Great.
And you watch a lot of, they have like big festivals here in America and overseas, England, Germany, Australia. And they book, like any music festival, but it's all DJs at these festivals. And a lot of times there's footage, they'll have professional camera guys shooting the whole deal, and you can view it later online. And, I'm surprised at the amount. You know, sometimes they'll zoom on somebody in the crowd and it's an old person in here, and they're just, you know,
little
chugging
bit of
around. It's
everything.
just, I think it's just musical preference. I don't think age has a thing to do with music.
Okay, excellent.
Everybody, you know, it's the, like, food and music are like the two universal
Two
languages.
magical
Yeah.
elements that pull people together. Well, we'd like to see a sampling of some of your work. Would you be willing to set up and
I would.
give us a
course.
little treat? Thank
Love
you.
to.
We're back, and Chris has set up some of his equipment, which doesn't take up nearly as much space as I thought. Can you give us a little heads up before you start, Chris, about how this operates
Of
and
course.
what makes the music?
So first of all, we've got this program here, and that's what I use. So as you're looking up top, it's got the what they call the waveform, the way the audio looks visually. So it's just adding a visual aspect. You can see your different tracks. Just mess around with the sound, really, if you wanted to quite varying degrees while you're playing.
Okay.
And then I've got, normally I'd run through this Bluetooth speaker here. It's got 2 subs in the back. And you can catch me a lot of times, I'll be like outside the coffee shop with a coffee, just jamming some tunes.
Great. Well, why don't you jam some tunes for us now?
Perfect.
We didn't get much chance to talk about the fact that you also make some visual art and you also do stand-up comedy. But because of our time crunch, what I do want to say is that if any of you out there would like to visit further with Chris, you can reach him through the Spark office downtown.
Correct.
And Lori Brock will get you in touch with him if you'd like to learn a little bit more about this. I'm fascinated by watching the screen and seeing all the different designs that come up. Of course, as a visual artist, that appeals to me just as a separate thing too.
Yes, of course.
Now, can you talk a little bit about any traditional music that you admired that you feel might have influenced the way you approach this work? What did you listen to when you were a kid?
Wow. Well, I had a cousin who lived in Great Bend, and eventually he had a slight collection, CDs he wanted to get rid of. And before he gave me any CDs, it was like 99 KG was still a pop channel in
Yes.
town, and we still had 98.5, the oldie station, and that's a lot of what was playing. So.
Right.
A lot of the 90s sort of college sounding stuff on the radio, and a lot of the oldies. And then the CDs my cousin ended up giving me probably about 5th grade, 6th grade were Green Day, Weezer, the Smashing Pumpkins, Presidents of the United States of America. So, I mean, that's, for me, the song that changed me was I used to buy a lot of compilation CDs that came with magazines.
Yes.
And this one magazine I liked, I think it was Q magazine, and they always have a CD, and the first song I really heard that was electronic was by a group called Simeon Mobile Disco. And in the whole song, it's about how they don't have any money, and they're too young to go to the club, but they're going to go to the record store, and they might end up walking out with a few records in their coat. And that was the first song that really had that sort of electronic bass line and
That made
all
you
the
wanna-
beats. And I just remember I just sat there and kept playing it, because everything before that was, for me, was so much rock. And
Right.
I mean, with my vinyl collection now, I've got everything from the Stones to Peter, Paul, and Mary. So
Right.
I
do
just about
too.
like every type of music out there. I'm pretty well I listen to and
That's great.
keep an eye on.
Right. Well, and it all contributes to what you do. Chris, we're out of time, I'm sorry to say. I've learned a lot today. Thank you so much for being with us, and we'll see you all next time.
Yes, thank you for having me.